Thanks, Vinay. Thanks, Ebin, thanks for all the marketing. I hope I can live up to that. And I'm honored to be here and share some of my thoughts here. And what I'm going to talk about today is what is the role of culture in a digital organization? I'm just calling it as org, but because it fits here better. Now, you must be wondering, what is this topic doing in this conference? Culture is, of course, one of the pillars, as Eben and Vinay introduced. And I wanted to talk about culture in the broader context of why is this even important, and then connect it to digital organizations, because in some sense we are all becoming digital. Agile is something that we all started with. We are sitting in an Agile conference, but the future is really all about being a digital organization. So, just a show of hands, how many of us are familiar or comfortable with the idea of a digital organization? Can you just show your hand? So, a lot of us. So, I think that's good. I'll just have a short introduction about digital org, the way I understand that, the way I use it at work, and what does it mean to us, and then kind of distill down what is the role of culture in that, and what are some of the pillars of culture that I see which would be relevant for us. And I hope in the next 2 days we get an opportunity to kind of deep dive into them and understand how does it really enable agility here. So, just a small commercial plug. I work for this company, Chinasoft. We are China's largest IT services company. We have more than 50,000 people in China, but we don't have anyone outside China, so I'm kind of building up the Indian operations here. We started last year, so yeah, we are hiring, so if you can talk to me. Disclaimer, these are my personal views, and this is a work in progress, and you will know why this is work in progress. Because even some of the biggest thought leaders and organizations that work on digital, nobody has really quite got the single one definition right. So this is still kind of evolving. There's still a lot of ideas around what is digital organization, what does culture mean in digital organization. So these are still things that I don't claim to be an expert on. I'm a learner, and I'm happy to have more conversation around it so that we can kind of improve the talks on that. So just let's kind of get started here. There was a very influential article written by Mark Anderson. Mark Anderson, everyone knows, right? The guy co-founded Netscape, and he is a partner with the Anderson Horowitz, which is a big VC firm. And he wrote in 2011 a very influential paper in Wall Street Journal, which was "The Software is Eating the World." And his whole hypothesis was that one after other, every industry is kind of getting disrupted, and software is kind of eating it up. Today, when we look back in 2018, it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? Because we have already been living, many of us have been living in this world for last many years. But back in 2011, when he kind of made this very audacious statement, it kind of created a revolution, and it kind of created a anxiety among people. Hey, what's going to happen? Are we going to be the next? And so on and so forth. Now, if we really see, and then there's a very interesting article that was written by Tom Goodwin in 2015, where he said Uber is the world's largest taxi company and it owns no vehicles. Facebook is the world's most popular media company, yet it creates no content. Alibaba is the most valuable retailer, it has no inventory, and Airbnb, world's largest accommodation provider, it has no real estate. Something interesting is happening. So we are seeing a world which has a very different way of creating value for the customers. The traditional drivers of value, which was owning up the assets and really kind of delivering the value through if I have to quote somebody. So there was this guy by name, anyone has heard of a guy by name Nicholas Negroponte? So Nicholas Negroponte was the director of MIT Media Labs. And he wrote this very influential book back in 95. The title of the book was Being Digital. And Being Digital in some sense was the first book that kind of made people aware of, there is something different happening here. So when Tom Goodwin writes it in 2015, everyone is aware of it. But 20 years before that, when Nicholas Negroponte wrote the book, nobody quite understood what is happening there. And one of the biggest game changer that he talked about in that is, for him, being digital was all about the shift from shipping atoms to shipping bits. So instead of really talking about things that we talk in terms of atoms and molecules, for example, a hotel like this, for example, a taxi, for example, it could be a traditional media company which is like kind of printing brochures and booklets and newspapers. We are talking about shipping them in bits and bytes. We are talking about flow of information not codified as atoms but codified as bits. So that's a big paradigm that he talked about more than 20 years back. And it's kind of happening today. And this is what Tom Goodwin kind of talked about. And if we see today, some of the perspective that we have in this brave new world is again very interesting. Same article, Mark Andreessen says a very interesting thing actually. He says FedEx is, in fact, he doesn't think of FedEx as a courier company anymore. He thinks of FedEx as a software company which happens to have trucks, planes, and distribution hubs attached. Have you ever thought of FedEx or any other company like that? It is not a logistics company, it is not a shipping company, it is not a courier company by any stretch of imagination. It is only a software company. It's a very, very radical thought. Something similar was expressed by the CEO of ING Bank last year when he said, we want to be a tech company with a banking license. And that is the ING Bank CEO talking about it. Imagine, this is banking reimagined completely. Who would have thought that banking would one day be seen as, hey, we are a software company, we just happen to have a banking license, right? I mean, and it's like you are reimagining FedEx, you are reimagining ING, and as if this is not enough, there are countries that are reimagining themselves. So sitting here in the next 10 minutes, pretty much all of you can actually go on your mobile app and you can take an e-residency of Estonia. It is a country that used to be a part of the erstwhile USSR that allows you to kind of go online and swipe your card and take e-residency. And you can do then business as an online citizen. Maybe some of you are, I don't know if any of you is already an e-resident there. That's the kind of a world we are living in. You don't have to physically have the assets. You don't even physically have to be residing there in a particular geography to be counted as a citizen in true sense. And maybe for all you know, in the next few years, there might be more countries like that. So it's definitely a new kind of a world where a lot of stuff is happening. Everything is happening digital, right? Things have started to move. We are gradually seeing, instead of atoms, we are really talking about bits here. So what does digital really mean? I think if there is only one word I have to use, then I would say digital means disruption. And disruption is not in a negative sense. Yes, it's in a negative sense if all you are doing is sitting like a duck and kind of waiting for somebody to come and disrupt your ecosystem or your industry or even your company. Now, there's only one thing I can say, shame on you if you are waiting for that. Because everything that you can think of today is getting disrupted. Let's look at bank. This is a very famous graphic that I think somebody came up with 5-7 years back, which was unbundling of the bank. If you work in a bank, a very, very big bank, a very traditional bank, a very successful bank, sorry, I have my sympathies with you. Because those days are numbered. There used to be this thinking in 2008, before the global financial crisis in the US, people used to have this term, too big to fail. Well, you know what? After 2008, what they talk about it, they say too big will fail. So it's going to happen. You go to one of the public sector banks in India, there are probably, I don't know, 200,000, 400,000, 500,000 people employed. There are probably 10,000 people just doing the KYC old way. And how does Mukesh Ambani decide to do the KYC when he wants to sell the geophones? Well, he just goes, does the e-KYC, and in 10 seconds, the whole thing is done. Lead time cut from 1 week to 10 seconds or 30 seconds, and you are all set. That's the world we are going to live in. It's going to be ruthless, it's going to be merciless, and it's not new. In 17th century, we saw the same kind of a thing when we started coming out as a human race from agriculture to the first kind of mass production methods, which was in textiles. In fact, in those days, some of you, I like to quote that actually, that 25% of the world's GDP was coming out of one single place, very close to where we are. Anyone knows that? It was in Bengal. 25% of GDP in 17th century was coming from Bengal, and from India, and half of that was coming from Bengal, and all of that was led on cotton. And during the British Raj time, the merchants and the clothesmen in Manchester got so scared of that they enacted parliamentarian laws to protect and said cotton from Bengal cannot enter Manchester. It has to come only as a raw material. It cannot come as a finished product. And that's how they kind of did. But disruption, it has always been like that. What we are seeing is peanuts. What we have seen in the past is much more than that. Millions of people died in Bengal and around because of famine, because of all the protectionist measures that were happened and enacted in Manchester those days. So this is nothing new. We all have to get used to it, right? And if after knowing all this thing, if you are like a sitting duck, then shame on you. That's all I can say. Because history is already there in front of us. And it is predicting the future. That's what is going to happen. So if you work for a bank and you are thinking that, okay, as long as people are coming there, I mean, how many of you have actually gone to a physical branch in the last 1 year? Raise your hand. I see 2, 3 hands going up, right? And how many of you have actually opened your most recent bank account on your mobile application? I see more hands going up, probably about 20% have hands, right? And I was sitting in one of those talks there by DBS, and they said, hey, I claim that you can do it, and just for the heck of it, I downloaded app. In 10 minutes, I did the KYC, my account was up and all set. And if you go to some of the banks today, there is a bank in Germany, N26. N26 does not even exist on geography. It only exists digitally. There has no ATM, it has no branches, nothing. And it says you can open it in 8 minutes. DBS is now claiming in 90 seconds. Every bank is now claiming that you can open an online account in a jiffy. That is the kind of a world we are living in. And unbundling actually means that there are 200 people waiting to eat your lunch. And if you don't act fast enough, you will be their lunch pretty soon. Now, if you're thinking bank is the only one, I have more examples. If you are in automobile, good luck. Automobile has been unbundled. If you are in retail, good luck. Or retail has been unbundled. If you are in education, good luck. That has been unbundled. If you are in hospitality, who would have thought that Airbnb would become the biggest, the largest number of nights being sold in the US? That is Airbnb today, right? If you are in shipping, this is unbundling FedEx as a company, right? There are probably 200 startups that are out there to disrupt the business model of FedEx as one single company. This is, if you are working for a company that is probably making a payroll software or something, good luck. That has been unbundled as well. Something as trivial as unsexy as payroll software also has been unbundled here. And if you work for a Fortune 50, if you work for like a Fortune 100 kind of a company, Procter & Gamble, even that has been unbundled. That has been disrupted. And finally, if you work for a tech company, a Fortune company, just as an example, Honeywell, good luck, because that is also getting disrupted. The new generation is not about creating the same kind of brick and mortar business which is going to ship atoms. The new business is all about shipping bits and bytes and disrupting the old business models, right? So there is a huge amount of stuff happening over there. If you are in the whole, there's a company of name Wink which has kind of disrupted the whole thing, and then because no company would create those systems that would talk to each other, so Wink has a system that kind of talks to everybody there. This is a beautiful short video that was created by Harvard University a couple of years back, where they talked about the evolution of the desk, where they said basically the way the desk used to look like, the desk was essentially, this used to look like in 1980, and today the desk is just your, probably a smartphone and a laptop. So that is the level of disruption that has happened over there. Everything else has gone away. And now what we are seeing in the rest of the industries is really a script is being replayed over and again in those industries there. So what is digital, right? There's so much of things that I talked about. What is digital? There are a lot of definitions. I'm not claiming that there will be one right, so I'm going to refer to a few of them that I find interesting. The whole idea is that so that you are able to kind of triangulate them and decide which one works for me. And like I said, there's no one single unique definition here. So Gardner says it is creation of new business designs by blurring the digital and physical worlds. There is a physical world. It's not that we are kind of just completely going away from there, but it's blurring these boundaries. You don't know when you are stepping into one and stepping out of the other boundary here. Wipro has a good definition on their Wipro digital page. It says it needs to rethink its business strategy, organization, and culture. So it's not one single thing. It's not just about offering some cute little mobile app. In fact, a lot of people think that digital means, well, you make a web page and you offer a cute little mobile app and you are digital. Nothing could be further from truth. That doesn't really help us, right? So we have to really go and change our strategy. How do we really engage with the customers? How do we offer the products and services? What channels do we really engage? How our own organization model works and the culture. And I like this one from McKinsey that says digital should be seen less as a thing and more as a way of doing things. I think that kind of captures it very well. It is not something that is like a noun in the sense that you say, hey, this is digital. Far from it. It's more like how you really do that is kind of qualifies to be a digital. So what does it really mean, right? This is the definition of what it is, but what does it really mean? To me, this is my definition based on my own learning, my own experience in terms of working and talking to the people. Delivering consistently superior customer experiences. It doesn't seem like something new here, but just to emphasize on that, seamlessly across omni-channel interactions. How many times it has happened to you that you were booking for a holidays in somewhere and then you said, okay, let me go to the web. You took your, you went and Googled on that, and then from Google you jumped into a web page, then you started your browsing journey. You browsed for it for 10 minutes and then you were not sure whether, hey, I don't even know whether they have actually kid-friendly rooms or not. So let me just find a 1-800 number and call them up. So your browsing journey is broken, then you are stepping into the next journey, which is the phone journey. You pick up the phone and you give all the details and you try today, and then finally after a few, the biggest thing is the moment that guy picks up the phone and says, hello sir, hello ma'am, how can I help you? And you're like, come on dude, I've been browsing your website for the last 10 minutes. Doesn't it make, it's a no-brainer for you to stitch my IP address with my PSTN number and say that, hey, are you the same guy who was looking for vacation in Mauritius? But no, that doesn't happen. You have to start all over again and tell the entire Mahabharata once again there. Because people are dumb, people don't understand that. So you again do the same thing. Then finally the guy will say, okay sir, do one thing, why don't you drop me a mail with all the details so that I can understand. So now you are breaking your phone journey and you are entering into an email journey. Any average transaction today is so badly broken that unless you undertake 4 or 5 broken journeys, you cannot get the job done. Am I right? Is that how you would typically characterize? Right? So no wonder none of us, and how many of you get up in the morning and say, okay, today I am going to make a call to the customer care. Nobody really has the life goal around, I'm going to call up customer care, because it is so badly broken. And that's why the whole omni-channel experience becomes so important in the digital context. It doesn't matter whether you buy it from Twitter, or you buy it from WhatsApp, or you buy it from WeChat, or you buy it from Facebook Messenger, or you buy it from email, or you buy it from Tata Sky, or what have you. As a customer, I want to be seen and shown a unified view of your business. And as a business, irrespective of whatever channel I really use, I should be able to show a holistic, coherent view of the business. Anytime, any place, anyone, real time. I think that's a given today. Nobody is going to wait for you and say, sir, ma'am, our office hours are closed right now. It's like, get lost. I don't care about your office hours, right? Who am I here for you, or are you here for me? Let's get it right first. If you are here to serve me, then you better make sure that when I'm working, you are working. As simple as that. And in a physical world, it's not quite possible, but in a digital world, it's quite possible there. Because a lot of technologies are available today to make that happen. But it needs a very different kind of a mindset that, hey, customers are not, it's not a linear extension. Like I said, it's not just about taking a piece of business and creating a website or an app around it and saying, okay, now we are digital. That's not how it's going to work, right? By offering digital products and services, and sometimes physical ones too. I'm not saying that all the products and services are going to be digital. For example, many of you might have taken an Uber or an Ola to come this morning. Now, an Ola or an Uber might be what we call as a digital service, but still there is an offline component of that, because the actual service delivery is happening via a driver who is driving a car and is kind of dropping you at a physical location there, right? And there are a lot of other touch points. In fact, there are a lot of other subliminal touch points there, because in terms of the body language of the driver, the conversation, the tonality, the hygiene of the car, the perceived safety of the car, the way the driver drives, none of that can be captured by today's technology in a digital world. But this is still an integral part of how your experience is going to be shaped by how those services have been delivered.